One of the best ways of organizing your scenes is to use display layers. This is a really easy and quick way of actually making sure you can select or you can control the visibility and the selectability of different things in your scene. So we can create a new layer by going under display. You see this is under the channel box and layer editor right here. And then we can make a new layer by clicking this new layer button. So now we can rename this. We can call this head. Watch what happens now if I try to name this head. It's going to be like, whoa, we can't do that because it already exists. And that's because this creates a new node. And again, mine is node based, and we can't have two nodes named the same thing. So therefore we can call this layer or underscore layer, whatever it might be, just so we have some organization purposes. For organization purposes, we have it we just keep it a bit cleaner. And we can click save. So there's nothing in this layer, but now we can select, for instance, the head. We can right mouse button and we can add selected object. And again, nothing has really visually happened, but that's because now we can actually play with a layer. So now we can change the visibility right here. Or if we click on this empty square, we can change the transparency, or we can change the selectability. So nothing, now it's transparent. Once again, it's R, which means it's just referenced, which means we can't select it. Now we can select everything but this area, which is really useful when you're doing all sorts of work. For instance, if you're working in this region here and you want to just only work on the teeth, there's no chance that you can actually select the head. So I use this quite a lot, like this, where it's set to R. I don't use T a lot, but it's set to R, and just make sure it's not selected. We did it in a kind of cumbersome way though, because now we create a layer and then we assign stuff to it afterwards. We can do this in an easier way. For instance, if we want the eyes here to be on a separate layer, now what we can do, we can select the eyes, and then we can click on this button to the right, which is called create new layer and assign selected objects, which will just do this in one operation. So it does exactly that. We can call this eyes layer. And now we have the eyes on a separate layer. And this is super handy because now we can disable the previous layer, and now without doing any hiding or isolation or anything like that, like you can see here the visibility and nothing here has actually changed. So now if we were to change it here, we can hide it without any interference. We can delete a layer by right-clicking on it and delete layer. We can also set the color of it as well, so it's a bit easier to organize. We can make a new one here, just make a new layer with it selected, and call them eyes. And here you can see we have a color as well. So make this nice pink flipped normals. And now you can see this here has a little color assigned to it. Now for a scene like this, I probably wouldn't use layers because we have literally 3 objects. But this becomes essential the moment you have really heavy scenes. Maybe you have a full environment and you have characters, you have all sorts of different objects, and you really don't want to mess with the visibility of them here because that will actually make them visible or not visible later on in rendering. But doing it here, it's so much easier to get an overview of what's visible or not. Now keep in mind this does affect renderability as well. I just want to be clear on that if you hide them here, they're not going to render, or if they're visible, they will render.